So this is going to be a rather quick video because what I'm teaching you to use is just a formula. And most of you guys are really good with solving formulas. I apologize for my voice. It's failing me a little bit. So when it comes to solving quadratic equations, like the ones you're used to seeing, we've learned a number of different ways. We've learned to solve them by graphing. We've learned to solve them by factoring. We've learned to solve them by taking the square roots. So there's lots of different ways. This way that I'm teaching you right now works for all quadratic equations in all situations. So it's kind of a nice, I don't know, a one-size-fits-all model for it. What you have to know for it is you have to know your quadratic formula, which says x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And so when you start moving through these, you realize that that formula uses the equation that you're given in standard form, and then you need to select the a, b, and c values. Now I'm going to be honest with you, the more of these you do, the faster you get at them. The first ones take quite a while to get through, but after that you'll get used to them, and then you'll be flying through them like there's no tomorrow. So first, if you notice, my equation's sitting right here, and then it asks me for the a, the b, and the c value. Remember, my a value is the coefficient of x squared, so that's a 2. My b value is the coefficient for x, which in this case is a 5. And then my c value is my added value at the end there, which is 3. So now my template here, which by the way I made lots of copies if you guys want to use them, has a pre-filled formula in the first time. So the first you can see is negative b. My b value is 5, so I put a 5 in there. Plus or minus b squared, fill in my 5 again, minus 4ac, all over 2a, which is 2. And now I'm going to walk through and just solve the math from there on out. I'm going to apologize a little bit. My hand tends to get in the way of the camera, so I like to try to stay out of the way of it. Okay, so I'm going to first go through and solve what's under my square root symbol. So I'm going to rewrite x equals negative 5 plus or minus the square root, and I'm going to start solving this. First, 5 squared is 25. Remember, you always want to do your exponents first. Minus 4 times 2 times 3. 4 times 2 is 8, times 3 is 24. And all of that is going to be over 2 times 2, which is 4. So now I'm going to walk through and solve the next step. I'm having lots of camera issues today, guys. Let's see if I can kind of straighten them out a little bit. Might be a little bit easier. So now I'm going to go ahead and solve what's under the quadratic, which gives me x equals negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 25 minus 24 is 1, all over 4. Now I'll go ahead on the next. Negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 1 is 1. So it's plus or minus 1 over 4. Now in the next spot, I need to split this plus or minus into two different equations. So in this one, I'm going to have x equals negative 5 plus 1 over 4 and x equals negative 5 minus 1 over 4. So I've split this plus or minus into the positive and the negative. So on this, we've got x equals negative 5 plus 1 is negative 4 over 4. And I'm going to solve that one step more. Gives me an answer of negative 1. And then on this side, negative 5 minus 1 is negative 6. So that gives me negative 6 over 4. Negative 6 divided by 4 is negative 1.5. So in the end, my x values for this equation, my solutions, my zeros, my point where it crosses the x-intercept, whatever you want to call it, is going to be at negative 1 and negative 5. Excuse me, negative 1.5. So those are my two solutions. And that's as simple as the quadratic formula is. So we're going to try another one now. We'll go down to the second. We have our equation 4x squared plus 7x minus 15 equals 0. I have my quadratic formula here on the side. I'll fill in my a, b, and c value. So a is 4, b is 7, c is negative 15. And then I'm going to move those over and fill them in for the formula. So negative 7 plus or minus 7 squared, because that's our b value, minus 4 times a, because it tells us right over there, which is 4, times c, which is negative 15, all over 2a, which is 4. So we move through again. X equals negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 49, because that's 7 squared, minus 16 times negative 15, which I'll go ahead and grab my calculator just to get that work done. And I'm going to apologize really quickly if anyone interrupts from here on out, because we are in the morning and there are lots of students coming in. So I believe, let me double check again. Yep, that this is a positive 240. So 4 times negative 15 is going to be 60, negative 60, and negative 60 times 4 is going to be positive 240. So negative times negative will give me a positive. Then this whole equation again is going to be written over 2a, which is in this case 8. So I'll go through and solve again. X equals negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 49 plus 240, which is 289. All over 8. So I'm going to use my calculator and see if 289 has a nice easy square root, which it does. It's 17. So x equals negative 7 plus or minus 17 all over 8. And over here we want to split this into the positive and the negative. So x equals negative 7 plus 17 over 8. And x equals negative 7 minus 17 for 8. So negative 7 plus 17 will give me a positive 10 over 8. And then that will give me x equals 8 will go into 10, 1 and 2 eighths, which is 1 and 1/4. I also could have divided that out of my calculator. Then here, negative 7 plus negative 17 is going to give me negative 24 divided by 8, which will give me negative 3. So in this equation, my two zeros, or my two roots, are at positive 1 and 1/4 and at negative 3. And that gives us our solutions had we graphed it.